After a long, peaceful sleep, Alan woke up late in the morning next to the sound of people moving in the hallway outside. For a second, he forgot where he was. For the second time in his life, he was waking up outside Africa to the strange smell of full English breakfast being cooked below. He looked quickly at his father's bed, but his father wasn't there. He presumed that his father had gone to the arranged breakfast, and he wanted to surprise him by being wide awake when he returned. So he jumped out of bed and headed straight for the bathroom, where he could shower as quickly as he could. Soon his hair was combed and dressed, waiting for his father. After sitting silently for 10 minutes, he turned the television on. The news was on, and he watched with amazement as the newsreaders told how a baby had been stolen from his mother in a shop, and how the homeless man was beaten as he lay sleeping on the floor in the doorway of the West End. Before ending the program, the newsreader smiled and said, "And finally, on a lighter note, the people of Towns Hamlets are the happiest people in the land this morning when the Queen visited a local factory to thank the workers for their service to the community." Alan watched as the workers waited in line for the Queen to greet them. He watched their faces, wondering if these were really the happiest people in the land. He wondered whether the Queen would also visit the homeless man he had beaten when she was returning to the palace. He knew that the palace was not far from the West End. There was a knock on the door. Alan turned to the television off and read the remote control. "Hello?" he said curiously. "Hello," said the reply. "It's Mr. Hardwick, the hotel manager. Can I come in and have a word?" "I don't think you can come in now," Alan said nervously. "My father is not here, but he'll be back soon. I think he has gone for food." Ignoring this, Mr. Hardwick opened the door to see Alan sitting on the bed. "I need to speak with you," he said solemnly as he entered the room. He went and sat down on the chair and continued to speak. "Did you hear your father get up early this morning? It could have been a while when it's still dark, in the very early hours of the morning." "No," Alan replied. "This is a tough one, lad. I don't know what to say, but it seems like he did leave the hotel early this morning and has left us all in a really awkward position." Alan was very puzzled. "Awkward position?" "Yes, he left 2 letters, one for me and one for you," the manager said, reaching out and handing Alan envelopes. Alan opened it. It contained a photograph of Alan and his mother and father with a handwritten letter. Alan read it as soon as Hardwick looked on. "My dearest son, you have seen all the trouble that we've gone through back home. What is happening back there has nothing to do with us, but we're stuck in the middle of it. You're the product of 2 countries, Ethiopia and Eritrea. We love both of them equally, but we're pulling themselves in each other apart. We hope that this does not go on like this much longer until the fighting stops and the persecution is over. Oh, your mother and I think it would be best if you stay in England. Here they have organisations that could help you, compassionate people who just understand why people have to seek refuge from war. We just can't risk another attack on you. We value your life more than anything. Your mother and I will try to use our organisation to help bring about peace. If you fail and see no hope, then we may be joining you soon. If things get better, then you will be joining us soon. But you must understand that we don't want to see you suffer anymore, and we don't want to see you go through what we have been through. We shall be writing to you soon, young man. Be strong, learn more English, and remember to love your neighbours, because peace is better than war wherever you live. Your loving father." Alan held the letter and photo in both his hands and his lap and looked down in silence. Mr. Hardwick looked around the room nervously and not sure how to react. And after a long moment, they looked at each other before Mr. Hardwick spoke. "I have to say, lad, this has never happened before, and not sure what to do. As far as I'm concerned for you, you can stay here for 2 more nights. Your father has paid for your room and all your meals, but you can't stay here forever." He looked down at Alan's hand and then himself. "Your father said you have no family here. Is this true? Don't you know anyone here in England? Don't you have any friends here?" Alan didn't speak. He just shook his head to every single question. "Okay. Well, the first thing you can do is get some breakfast," Mr. Hardwick said with a sign of resignation. Alan's breakfast was brought to his room this morning, but his other meals were taken in the dining hall with the other hotel guests. He always sat alone by the window looking out to the little pond and watching the birds that would all come to feed from the table. That day Alan went for a short walk which took him around the small grounds of Datchet, the parish church and sounds of Miss Jerry the Virgin, and the town centre. The town was pretty as a postcard. At the centre of the grassland between 2 roads he became a stone monument. He stood there to read the inscription, ignoring the cold wind that was making his eyes water. It had been erected by the inhabitants of Datchet to commemorate the Great War of 1914 to 1918. It spoke of the glorious forces and the Allies by the sea, on land and in the air who had fought against the combined forces of Turkey, Germany, Austria, Turkey and Bulgaria. The monuments simply reminded Alan of the war. Nobody's glorious and more, he thought as he walked away to admire other positive turns as he walked past an antique shop across the road. Back at the hotel, Alan sat down for a while and went to his room to watch television and read the guidebook. The staff and guests seemed friendly enough and was keen to know what Mr. Hardwick had called him lad, but he didn't have the nerve to ask. He would exchange a few words with people at meal times, but apart from that he spoke very little, which made the days seem very long. Trying to learn as much as he could about the British culture from television, that meant his mind kept occupied. But every single time he began in silence, he began to think of where he thought he was. Where did his parents got conversations from? Why did they bring him to England? Was he really bringing them to England the best thing to do? Did they really love him, or was his plan to get rid of him? Would they care so much about his upbringing, his health, his education, and dump him? At one point, Alan even began to believe it was some sort of right to passing, a test of manhood, the initiation test to see how he coped being alone and have to fend for himself. After he walked down other hallways in the hotel, he began to peep in the other rooms to see his father was hiding in one of them. The next morning after breakfast, Alan walked down the 2 miles of country roads to Windsor. He had read a castle on road and thought he might have been able to see it. And when he reached the edge of the town, he was worried and went back into the hotel. He was worried that he might lose his way in what looked like the outskirts of a much bigger town. Back in the hotel room, he sat on his bed watching a middle-aged woman having makeovers on breakfast before the knock on the door. Alan recognised the voice of Mr. Hardwick. "All right, lad, can we come in? I'm with a couple of nice young ladies who would like to have a word with you." He entered the room, followed by 2 women who looked immediately at Alan. "This is the lad," Mr. Hardwick said. "Alan's been a wonderful lad. Everybody likes him. No trouble at all. I wish there were more like him." Alan felt slightly uncomfortable. Everyone's eyes were above him, which made him seem like a bit of animal in the zoo. But in the woman, he spoke different, very different. "Tena yasilen, Alan." "Tena yasilen," Alan replied. "Inchalagiya telewalaga hala," she asked. "Yes, I speak English," Alan says he breathed a sigh of relief. She was Ethiopian. She looked like someone from the Oromo tribe, dark, round-faced and slim. But what did she want? Was she a good guy or a bad guy? "My name is Mariam, and this is Pamela. We come from the organisation from the Refugee Council. We heard that you are here, and we've come to help you." Pamela was the taller of the two, white-skinned with cheeks highlighted and a red blusher with jet black hair. Alan knew very little about the tribes of England, but he was curious about the tribe that Pamela belonged to. He had never seen a European with a silver stud in her chin and 6 earrings from each ear before. Still, she spoke plain English. "First of all, we need to know that you're okay. And then we could try to help do whatever you want from you. We are here for you." "I think I'll go now," said Mr. Hardwick, turning for the door. "You 3 take your time now. I'm downstairs if you need me." The moment Mr. Hardwick left the room, the atmosphere changed. Mariam and Pamela sat on the 2 available chairs and turned the television off with the remote control, which was still in his hand. Mariam's eyes wandered around the room and took in the photo of Alan with his parents, which was propped against the bedside lamp next to their bed. "So what's it like here, then?" Alan leaned back and rested his elbows, feeling more at ease. "It's okay. The people out here are nice, but the food is very strange." "What do you find strange about the food?" Pamela asked. "Well, it's not too bad, but it's very dry. I don't understand why they made the food so dry and why they gave me something called gravy to make the food more wet." Mariam and Pamela laughed out loud. Alan smiled with them. Pamela hadn't stopped laughing when she began speaking. "You see, this is a meat and 2 veg territory." Alan repeated, puzzled. "Meat and 2 veg?" "Yeah," she began. "Meat and 2 veg. One side of meat, the other side of the center of the meal. The center of the universe. And a couple of vegetables thrown in for good luck. Oh yes, and a bit of gravy to help go down." "Does everyone here eat meat and 2 veg?" Alan asked, doubting the truth of what Pamela was saying. "Well, yes, not everybody, but most people. We are only from 30 miles away from London, but you'll find that London is a very difficult place," Pamela said as the voice began to settle. "I know, I went to London, it was very different. So many people, so many cars, so many big buildings. But I only saw the parts where our shops were." For the next 10 minutes, Alan talked to them about his impressions of London and how he had spent his evening in the West End with his father. Soon Mariam thought it was time for them to start talking to him. "As we said before, Alan, we are from the Refugee Council. We know a bit how you came here, and it's our job to make sure you're looked after. We are not the police, we are not from the government, we don't have any special powers, but we are on your side. We all work with so many people in the same situation," Pamela interjected, "so you have nothing to worry about." Mariam took out a notebook and began to make notes. We have to apply what we call the Home Office for Political Asylum. We need you to get out of this political asylum status so that you can stay in your country, because we want to make sure that your well-being is protected and that you get most of what we have to offer. Asking you a few questions like what to start with. Now, if you're having problems with English, we can speak in Amharic if you like. I will try to speak in English, Alan replied. Okay, said Mariam while taking a notes in your book. Can you tell us what happened before you came here? What made your father bring you here? And what was life where you came from? Yes, I'll try my best.